Hello, everybody. Welcome to the second episode of Talk or Tap. My name is Rafael Adames, and for this week's guest, I have my friend, Joe Giannetti. What's up, Joe? Oh, wait a minute. Joe Giannetti.
Hey.
There you go.
You make that intro yourself? Play the guitar?
No.
Oh, okay.
I found that on, shout out to YouTube royalty-free music.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, it kind of sounds live, so I didn't know if you did that yourself.
Yeah, that sounds good. So, what's up, man?
Not much. What have you been up to?
Training. Lots of training. I'm trying to get a blue belt.
Okay.
That's my next goal.
I'm working on my brown, so I feel you.
Nice.
Yeah.
I
Trying.
didn't know you were.
I'm purple.
It's because when I went, I didn't see you with a gi on.
Yeah,
so.
I didn't do gi that night.
Okay.
When I'm fighting, I kind of back off the gi a little bit. Like, I know it helps, but for me personally, it doesn't transition to MMA too much, so I kind of back off. But as soon as my fight camp's over, I'm back into gi.
Is there something that you take from jiu-jitsu?
From no gi, definitely. Just, it's very similar. Like, when I grapple no gi, I wear MMA gloves. Obviously, I'm not punching, but just the grips and all the stuff like that, I make sure I have gloves on. I can't do that in gi.
Did you always start that way, or did you start fighting a little bit?
No, so I started that way. That was always Bill's biggest thing, is he was like, he didn't force us, but he recommended it. He was like, because, you know, when you get underhooks or you get a guillotine or any submission, the glove just adds so much. It's only about a quarter an inch on your hand, but that makes all the difference between getting out of a submission, them getting out of a submission, and obviously it could change how the fight ends.
Mm-hmm. And you fought amateur and professional, so how does the glove feel? Because I know that especially
the thumb wrap. When I was an amateur, before I'd fought, I had to borrow gloves from the gym, but I borrowed amateur gloves, so I got used to grappling with the weird thumb grips. And then when I went pro, I started grappling in the pro gloves with no thumb grip, so I had to get used to that feeling. So it was really cool just being able to feel ready almost. Like, I didn't have that awkward phase of like, what's it like having gloves on? Nice.
And so I'm trying to get my blue belt. My coach is telling me that I'm really close. So This is like my 5th jiu-jitsu class this week.
Nice.
I'm trying to continuously.
Good. Just keep at it.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what I've been told. It's like gym class. You just got to show up, put in the work.
Exactly. Dude, and once I go, I don't want to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I always stay there and talk to people for an hour about martial arts.
Yeah, no, days that I hate going to the gym, I don't feel like it, I'm like, no, I'll just go tomorrow, whatever. And then I go, and halfway through training, I'm like, wow, imagine if I didn't come today.
I know.
I'm so pumped. I just feel good. Even if I'm having a bad day at the gym, I'm like, I feel good training.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad I didn't stay home. Days that I actually it's not many, but days that I don't go train, I'll be sitting there like, damn, I wish I went and trained.
Oh,
now it's a little different that I got to set up in the garage. I really have no excuse. I don't think I really miss days ever now.
So tell people about that, because I know about it. And it's super dope. If you guys ever saw this, it's every fighter's dream to have an actual gym in your house.
So yeah, it always kind of started as just, a fighter's dream. Like, man, I wish I had a gym set up at my house. And then when COVID started happening and gyms were cracking down, I heard rumors my fight's probably going to get canceled. Gyms are going to get shut down, which was crazy to me. Mm-hmm. I was like, maybe I should start cleaning out my garage and kind of setting something up. I had a heavy bag. I had a couple of free weights, and then my fight got canceled. That's how I knew it was real. I was like, oh, gyms are definitely next. The fight's off. So
when was your next fight, by the way?
It was going to be at Cage Titans back in April against Liz Lima. I don't know. He had 2 names. He was from Brazil.
Yeah. He actually lived in Brazil?
I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
Almost 100%. So that fight got canceled, and then I heard the thing about gyms. So I was like, all right, I got to start putting stuff together. So I started going on Facebook Marketplace, Amazon, eBay. Mm-hmm. I found a treadmill, a bench press setup. I found mats for a decently good price. I found an Aerodyne.
What's that you said?
An Aerodyne. So it's the exercise bikes. But not the ones where an elderly person would sit down and kind of go. The ones where you go hard, they suck.
The one that blows wind?
Yeah.
There's a fan in there or something.
So I got one. It's it's broken per se, but the screen that comes up and tells you how fast you're going isn't there. But I don't really care. The bike itself works. So I got that for $40 from some guy on Facebook.
That's awesome.
His kid wrestled in high school and he graduated, doesn't wrestle anymore. He's like, so we don't need it. And I was like, cool, I'll take it.
Yeah, right.
And then
how much are they usually? Hundreds of dollars?
200 plus, brand new. Yeah. I look at them all the time because I'm like, wow, it's a nice looking bike. And then it's $250 plus shipping and tax. I'm like, it's not that nice.
Never mind.
Yeah, it's to do cardio. Yeah, right? It's to do cardio. It's not fun. But then I got some mats on eBay from a really cool guy. He ended up express shipping them to me because I was like, man, I'm an MMA fighter. If if you can, he gave me a discount on shipping prices too, because I was like, hey, I'm a fighter. I'll post about this on eBay to help other fighters out if you can help me out. And he was like, oh, I really appreciate it. So, I screenshotted it, put a link to it on my Instagram story, and he combined my shipping for all these mats and then express shipped them. Got them in like a week and a half. And I hung my heavy bag. I got a treadmill. And, it's just been taken off since then. And then the coolest piece of equipment, I haven't even finished yet. It's like a regular, like a normal gym piece of equipment. And it's got the pull down bar. It's got the butterflies, the press, like the seated machine, like a $3,000 machine. I got it for free. My girlfriend's uncle does house clean outs and and waste removal and all that crap. And he's cleaning out this guy's house, an elderly guy. He had this machine not put together, all wrapped up in plastic. And he was like, yeah, take it to the dump. I just want it out of my house. Unless you know somebody that wants it. So the first thing he did was text my girlfriend. It was like, does Joe want this? And she's trying to describe it to me. And I'm like, what the hell is that? She sends me a picture, all pristine in plastic. And I'm like, yep, I'll be at the house in an hour. I'll tell you what.
What were you doing? You were just home?
I was just chilling. I was at my house just minding my own business. I'll tell you what. Me and her younger brothers got that into my truck. That thing was heavy.
Yeah?
Yeah. I got it halfway put together. I haven't finished it yet. But it's really cool. It's like a legit brand new piece of gym equipment.
It went in your truck?
Oh, it went in my pickup. Yeah. We threw it in there. It was hanging out the back. Drove slow home.
Yeah. So I'm glad that you had that right before you changed cars. Like what?
Yeah.
what happened then? Like how soon until you changed your car? Because isn't that brand new?
It's not brand new. It's new to me.
But you just got it kind of?
Yeah, I got it right after my last fight.
Okay, yeah.
So like literally like a week and a half after my fight. Because I've been looking at cars, but I didn't really have the money. And then, a lot of people helped support me through fight camp to the point where I was able to get myself through fight camp, fight, and make some money, even though I didn't get the result I wanted. So it was really cool.
Mm-hmm. That's one of the things that I wanted to bring up too.
My fight?
Yeah.
I honestly...
I think like you posted something about like wanting to share your story or something like that. Did I get that wrong?
When you messaged me?
No, I think you just posted something.
Oh, yeah. So I haven't watched the fight yet. I still haven't seen it.
Okay.
So normally, win or lose, I watch my fights over and over and over again. One, to be like, damn, I look good. Or two, to be like, damn, I look like an idiot.
Yeah.
Like the finale, I've watched a million times. Like I can tell you every second of that fight. I've seen it in my dreams. I should say nightmares. This fight, I haven't watched. Mostly because every fight, I don't black out. But you fought. Like you don't remember every second of it. Like there's just things will be like, oh, you guys will be like, you did that really well in your fight. And I'm like, I did that?
It's funny because I was actually looking at pictures. I saved them every Cage Titans. People would take pictures, and I would save them all just to look back on them. And it's funny because just yesterday too, I was looking at them. I was transferring files at work, and then I was looking at photos. In Cage Titans 44, I fought Brett Layton, and I was looking at pictures, and he had me in certain positions. I'm like, I don't remember that.
That happened.
Like
I remember. So my last fight, LFA, I was in the back room warming up. So as soon as I warm up a little bit, and they're like, all right, you're on next. Everybody goes quiet. We joke around the whole night. Kind of made other fighters uncomfortable. Like they were all like getting hyped up. And we're sitting in the back like, where are we going for breakfast tomorrow? Da, 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 da. Like this is what we do when I'm fighting. Wow. But then like as soon as they say you're next, it's like that. My coaches are quiet. I'm pacing back and forth, and I'm warming up mentally. Like physically, I'm warmed up, but mentally, I'm like we're fighting to the death. Like this is it. And I start punching myself in the face. I'm like, let's go. And they showed the preview or the hype video for my fight, and they were showing clips from the finale, and I was like, oh yeah, I did that. And then it was like I threw like a lead elbow switch kick, and like the elbow whiffed, and then the switch kick landed, and I was like, nice. I did that. That's kind of cool. And my coach is looking at me, and I was like, I don't remember. But yeah, every fight I don't remember the entire thing. This last one, I remember every second, every detail, everything of that fight. Like I don't need to watch it. I'm definitely gonna.
Wow.
But like this is the only fight I remember everything from it. Is
that why you haven't watched it?
Yeah, because I don't feel the need. Like I definitely need to. Like I'm gonna watch it. And like I said, I posted that thing. I think it'd be cool for people to see like my first time reaction because I haven't physically watched it. But yeah, I remember everything about that fight because first thing we did is we went back in the locker room. I said, this fucking sucks. That's the only way I could have lost, and I knew that. And then we sat there for like 15, 20 minutes, and we broke down how to make sure it doesn't happen again. We were already working on fixing that for the next fight because like there's no point of bugging out. Like so after I lost the finale, I went in the back room in Vegas, and I bawled my eyes out. After I lost against Dewan in Plymouth, I went in the back room, got checked out by the doctor, bawled my eyes out. After this last fight, I literally walked in the back room, said, fuck, man. Punched the mat they had laid out. And then I laid there for a second. I got up, and then we just started talking about how to fix it. I mean, that's really all I can do. That's what I did.
You know what? It looked like it too. The way you handled yourself through the whole thing, like I had a feeling. I know Joe's just gonna get right back into it.
Oh yeah,
right at home.
Oh yeah, instantly. We got home. So we fought Friday. Got home Saturday night. I was gonna work out that Saturday, but my girlfriend was like, "I miss you, yada yada yada." I was like, "I miss you too." I was like, "But I really want to work out."
Yeah.
I was like, "All right, let's cuddle, like watch a movie, like whatever."
What'd you watch? You remember?
I don't even remember. So then the next day, I was like, "All right, I'm going to freaking work out." Sunday's always my rest day, and I used to not even take rest days. And then before the finale, and I went to the PI, they would like ask my schedule, and they were like, "When do you rest?" And I was like, they're like, "You need a rest day." And I was like, "Yeah, but I got to get better every day." And they're like, "Yeah, recover. Don't work out on one day." I was like, "Okay, Sunday." So Sunday's my rest day. I get home from the fight. Screw that. I'm going to work out. I was in there shadow boxing, hitting the bag. I was lifting heavy. I was still light. I still am light. But I felt great. I wasn't injured. I wasn't sore. Nothing. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna hit up LFA. I'm gonna start working on my next fight. I opened my email, and they emailed me. "Oh, thank you for being a part of the show. It was great. Like, we can't wait to have you back. Yada yada yada." And I was like, "Perfect. So just letting you know, I'm down for anybody in October." And they were like, "Okay, just letting you know." And I was like, "I'm just glad you guys emailed me first."
Yeah.
I don't have to open the door. It's already there.
Right.
And then I actually emailed them again last week. And I was just like, "Hey, just checking in." This is before they officially announced when they were having fights.
Okay.
Because they told me in the back room like October, but nothing specific. And they just announced October. They're doing, I think, every weekend. And they're in Kansas this time instead of South Dakota. So I emailed them before they even officially announced it. And I was like, "Hey, what's the deal with the schedule?" And they were like, "We've got shows in October. It's going to be in Kansas. We'll see what we can get you at 155. And I was like, "All right, you know, I'm down for everybody, or anybody." And he was like, "Yep, I'll let you know who we got, and I'll get back to you." So I was waiting on a name.
Wow.
Waiting
That's
for
awesome.
it.
Now, I know we talked. I asked a question, like before your fight. Was South Dakota high elevation like?
No, I mean, if it was, then my cardio is phenomenal.
Wow.
Granted, it wasn't a super exciting fight, but like let's put it this way, my cardio is usually pretty good. My cardio was so good in that fight. I'm like, maybe I just won't even waste time doing cardio for my next fight camp. Like, like I was barely sweating. Like if I jump rope for like 2 minutes, that's the amount of sweat I had after a 15-minute fight. Yeah. And like I wasn't breathing heavy or anything. Like in between rounds, I was talking to Bill and Justin, and even after the fight, they were like, "I know it wasn't super exciting, but like you looked fine." I was like, "I could have went 5 more rounds." I wish that fight was 5 rounds.
I know.
I know. And then I hung out with Brant like the night of the fight. He's a cool kid. But like he said the same thing. Like, "Oh, my." You
said like after you fought?
After we fought, yeah. Cool. We all kind of like all the teams kind of hung out in the lobby. They had like a bar and stuff. Cool. And he was like, "Yeah, my cardio felt really good that fight." He's a weird kid, but he's super nice. And we were kind of just like, "Well, you didn't really do much. That's why your cardio like didn't affect you." I was like, "But I was out there trying to fight, and my cardio felt great." So yeah, I mean, I felt much stronger than my last fight. My cardio was even better, which wasn't a goal in this fight camp. It just happened because I just worked it. My wrestling felt really good. Brant gave me props after the fight. He was like, "I couldn't take you down like I thought I could." I was beating him up from the clinch. He said that if I probably landed one more knee to the body, he probably would have just sat down. Wow. He's a jiu-jitsu black belt, and I didn't, like I said before, I didn't see it. I didn't see him as an MMA jiu-jitsu black belt. Right. And either maybe that's the case, he needs to work on his MMA jiu-jitsu, or my MMA jiu-jitsu is high brown, low black belt level. Right. Because it's just different than gi. In gi, I'd get smoked by a black belt, but in MMA, as we saw, we kind of negate each other. So it was really interesting, and it was cool. It was kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, I can hang with most guys on the planet as of right now. I'm not going to say I can hang with everybody on the planet, but most guys on my level, black belt, brown belt, whatever, I can hang with. Because, I knew that it'd be close jiu-jitsu wise, but then when I was in there, I was like, this is nothing different than anybody I've ever fought. Okay. Like I fought guys that were good grapplers, and like it's just about the same. The only difference was like he literally was not trying to do any damage to me at all. Yeah. Like I was yelling at him at one point to hit me.
I heard that. I wanted to bring it up. You said, "Punch me" or something like that.
Yeah, I said, "Hit me." I was like, "Let's fight." Well, so Bill, like,
that was awesome.
Me and Bill have like a funny relationship in the fight. Like it never gets too serious. Like it's always just like, you need to do this, this, and this. Like he's doing that, blah, blah, blah. he'll literally teach me stuff in the middle of the fight, like in the corner, in between rounds. He'll like get down on his knees, be like, "You need to do this, da 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 da," and in between rounds, he's like, "You here to fight?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm here to fight." And he goes, "Well, then go out there and fight." And I was like, "All right." And then Brant has me against the cage, and Bill's in there. He's like, "Joe, who's in there to fight?" And I was like, "I'm in here to fight." And I started kneeing him, and then Brant even said, he was like, "What?" And I was like, "I'm in here to fight. He ain't in here to fight. I'm in here to fight."
Wow.
And then he started trying to take me down, and he eventually got me down. We were in like a weird scramble. And then I'm just, I was hitting him from my back. I mean, you look at the numbers, I outstruck him from my back. But in that third round, yeah, I was yelling at him. I was like, hit me, let's fight, hit me.
Yeah.
And then even Bill was cornering Brant and was like, elbow. And Brant looked at him and he was like, no, you hit Joe, elbow Joe. And Brant was like, what? And I was like, yeah, elbow me, let's go. And after the fight, he thought
you guys are crazy.
And after the fight, he thought we were messing with him. We were like, no. I was like, I wanted my head split open, blood everywhere. Like I wanted that to happen.
Wow.
I just wanted action.
I've never heard of that, dude.
Oh yeah, we're weirdos.
That's great. Like, I want to hear that. I want to see that. I didn't hear that.
Oh yeah, third round, like straight up. Bill was like, elbow, and Brant's on top, just sitting on me, and he looks at Bill. And Bill goes, no, not him, you, elbow Joe. And he was like, what? And then I like hit him from my back. Whoa. And I was like, yeah, hit me.
Yeah. So what frustrated you that you guys talked about? Like after you said you talked for 20 minutes or something like that.
So I said in a couple interviews like prior to the fight, and like I knew going into it, I'm never, for the most part, some fights I have been, but for the most part, I've never been the stronger guy. So I assumed that Brant was going to be much stronger than me. He was stronger than me, but not nearly by as much as we thought, especially in the clinch and everything, which was awesome because I felt that all my hard work during quarantine meant something. Mm-hmm. But it also sucked because it was like I expected his strength to be here and my strength to be about here. Mm-hmm. And it was like almost neck and neck. Like he was just right there. And every transition that we got into, every scramble, like I felt like, oh, I got him. And then I just didn't. Like I was just that much behind him.
Yeah. So
it was really frustrating. So it was like a bittersweet, like I'm so much stronger than I was 7 months ago, but I'm just not strong enough. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing was, the only way we thought that I lost that fight is always the puncher's chance. Always a power hand, rear hand, his right hand lands on my chin and I go to sleep. That's MMA. I don't care if you're just a wrestler. You can knock me out. You can knock anybody out.
Yeah,
that's a sport.
I agree.
And I think that's something a lot of people sleep on. And then the real only way he could beat me was what he did. Get on top and do nothing. But we kind of underestimated to what extent. Granted, the finale, Trajano didn't really do much. He wasn't that active. I had a bad performance. Mm-hmm. Perfect storm for me to lose. The Dewan fight, he kind of laid on me too, but he did attack. He threw some ground and pound. He landed a couple good elbows in the second round. But the Brant fight, he kind of just doubled down, and he even said it after the fight. He's like, I'll tell you what his thought process was, because he talked about this after the fight, and it was just like, I was like, I'm just going to keep drinking and keep my mouth shut. He goes, so my game plan was to knock you out right out the gate. And I was like, smart. Like, it's a lot easier to knock somebody out fresh out the gate, kind of like first punch shock.
Did you see that?
I didn't think he was gonna. I landed on him.
Like, okay, but did you also, is that the way you saw it play out in the fight? Like
him try to knock me out?
While you were fighting, did you see that? Oh, he's trying to knock me out.
No, so that was the thing is, it was funny that he thought about this because I really didn't. He said that when I came out, I guess normally when I come out and touch hands and I bounce, I go like bounce, and I bring my hand straight up. I guess in that fight, my hand came around because sometimes I'll corral people. I'll corral you in, and it's like, I'm not hitting you from that side, but you don't want to go that way because my hand's moving, and then you walk into my left. So I guess I started doing that, and he got nervous about it and was like, okay, he's setting something up that he's never done before. I don't want to stand with him anymore. And then I hit him with that left out the gate, or I backed him up. I don't even remember if it landed. I'm pretty sure it did.
Yeah.
And so I backed him up with that, and then he said, you hit me with that left out the gate, and it didn't rock me or hurt me where I thought you were going to knock me out with one punch, but it was hard enough that I didn't want to stand with you anymore. And I've heard that throughout my whole career. Like everybody that I fought, because, like in sparring, I don't punch hard. In most of my fights, I'm not trying to one punch anybody in my fights because I just don't think that's within my realm of capabilities. But no matter how much people pick on me, there's a reason I don't knock guys out, because I hit them and they don't want to strike anymore.
That's right. You told me that right as I was doing the video that day, Same thing.
And it was so funny to hear. I heard the exact words come out of his mouth. He's like, I was going to knock you out. You hit me. And it wasn't hard enough where I was like, he could knock me out at any moment, but it was hard enough to where I don't want to strike with him. And I literally said to him, I go, that's my career, man.
Joe, have you ever fought anybody that wanted to stand and bang with you?
A couple people. So I fought Roberto Young, and I took his ass down.
Hey.
I was like, no. I was like, he was a guy that I was like, I could probably beat him standing, but I could definitely beat him on the ground. Yeah. So I was like, I don't get paid by the hour. Let's get in and out. Shot a double, took him down. But when I was an amateur, I got into a lot of striking wars. This is before my striking really clicked. I had a whole different style. I go back and watch my amateur fights to make fun of myself all the time.
How many amateur fights do you have?
7.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was 7-0 as an amateur.
And when did you start your MMA amateur?
2014.
Career? And you were how old?
18.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was in fight camp when I was 18, and then I turned 19 and then fought.
Gotcha.
But so a lot of my very first fight, my amateur debut, game plan: go out there, take them down, choke them out. Nope, didn't listen. I went out there and we stood and banged for 2.5 rounds. I got dropped in the third. I woke up, had the dude in a triangle, and then I switched it to an armbar. And everybody was like, "Oh, that was so cool! How'd you do it?" And I'm like, "I have no clue."
You were like, you blacked out at that moment.
Absolutely. Like I got hit. Whoa. I got hit facing this way, and then when I woke up, I was looking at the lights, and I was like, "Oh no, I just got knocked out." And then I heard somebody gurgling, and I was like, "What the fuck is that?" And I looked down, and this guy's in a triangle, and I'm like, "How the hell did I do that?" And I was like, "I gotta finish this." And then maybe it was the concussion. I didn't try to finish it. I spun over and turned it into an armbar, and I was like, "All right," and I just cranked it, and he tapped with like 10 seconds left. I had no idea how much time was left. There was like 10 seconds left, and I get the armbar, and everybody went nuts. But yeah, my whole point of that was...
You had a concussion, by the way?
It wasn't like, they didn't say I had a concussion, but I must have. I got dropped. Okay. So I've only gone to the doctors once because I was like, I might have a concussion because I used to spar a lot. And I didn't end up having one. Like the doctors tested me and everything. Yeah. Just sparring too much. They said take time off sparring and like I've told you before, that's something I'm very big on because like you break your leg, it can heal. You break your fingers, your arm, it can all heal. Mm-hmm. You hurt your brain, lose your chin, as it's called in MMA, you don't get that back. It's not a video game. Unless it's the UFC video game, which I love that they added. And I wish that more fighters were gamers.
What'd they add?
They added, if you do a career mode, the way that you fight with your created fighter, it affects the longevity of your career.
Yes.
The amount of fighters, pro and amateur, that don't understand that's a real thing blows my mind.
Yes.
Like, whenever I do a career mode, I do it the same way because I'm such a loser. My first, 10 fights are so lame. I go out there and throw a jab and take guys down because you need to get, your experience points so you guys can learn all the cool stuff, in training. In the training mode in the game, you need to earn the XP points to, do it. And, then when my guy's, older and it's okay, well, you're going to start fighting the top guys. You've never really been hit. It's let's start striking with these guys. Let's get the $50,000 bonus. Let's get the popularity of the fans, da-da-da-da. And, that's kind of how I've done my career. Minus the amateur part. But as a pro, I've never taken really any damage. I think the most I've been hit in the face in one fight as a pro is in the Dwan fight, and it's 10 max. And that's max, counting glancing punches. But yeah, my whole thing is, as an amateur, I fought like an idiot, and I was standing and banging with everybody. As a pro, my stand-up clicked, and I've been taking guys down and tapping them out, or they've been trying to take me down, and I tap them out. It's just part of my game. I do hit hard, and nobody believes me, and everybody's like, "Oh, he's just a cocky prick," da-da-da. And I'm like, all right.
I think your punches are very accurate.
That's what I try to do. I try to just land. A lot of people are like, "Oh, you got to put more into it. You got to do this, this, and this." And I'm like, I'm just trying to land. As long as I'm hitting you and you know, oh, he hit me. In sparring, me sparring is probably one of the most difficult things ever because my whole game plan is to trick you. It's to make you put your hand down here while I strike up here. Mm-hmm. And if I do it right, you're going to be so blindsided by the strike. I know at 10% I could knock you out because you don't see it coming. It's always the one that you don't see that could knock you out.
Right.
So I'll pull punches. I'll pull kicks on people because I'll see that they don't see it coming. I'll throw a question mark kick, and guys will be reaching towards their leg or tightening up their body, and then my foot's over the top, and I won't land it. But guys that don't know better, they'll be like, "Oh, look, he missed," and then they'll bum rush me.
Well, that didn't hit. Didn't hurt. They don't respect it. But
yeah, exactly. Same thing with my punches. I'll fake a jab, and then I'll roll under and throw a lead hook, and guys will be defending a rear hand that's not coming. So then, instead of actually turning it over, I'll kind of just tap them in the chin, like literally just a quick tap. And as I do it, they're like, "Oh, that didn't hurt," and they'll throw a bomb in return.
Yeah.
And then I eat all the time. Yeah, I eat a bomb, and I'm like, "Fuck!" Now I don't care if I had hurt you or not.
I know.
I'm like,
and
damn.
then I turn it up.
And I'm like, I wish I just stung you from the beginning. So it's just finding that happy medium. You know, some guys, their whole style is just hitting hard. So it's like when you go with them, it's like he's gonna hit me hard, is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But mine's all trickery, which I feel like is more dangerous in sparring because you don't like in sparring you don't have that adrenaline. So it's like you don't have that adrenaline, and then if you look left and I hit you from the right, you're probably going to sleep. So that's one of those things where it's like it's really tough for me to try and like work my style. Honestly, I feel like my best improvements striking wise, like I took a whole year off of sparring when I went pro.
That's right.
So the year before I went pro, I didn't spar for an entire 12 months.
Which is crazy to me.
I just did shadow boxing, bag work, footwork drills, all that stuff. And I watched a lot of Stephen Thompson on YouTube. By the way, you're the man for that.
Yeah.
Bro, it was so I had my buddies over. I
was so happy.
Bro, so let's talk about that. I had my buddy Mike Danella and his wife Tal over the house with my girlfriend. We're all watching the fights, and you messaged me and you were like, "Yo, I got something for you." And I was like, "What the hell's he got for me?" And you sent me that video of Stephen Thompson, and I was speechless. I literally was like, "Yo, yo, yo," and they're like, "What?" And I just turned my phone around and played it. Bro, I was blushing. I didn't even mean to. I was blushing. I was like, "Oh, get out of my house!" And of course, they're making fun of me for it. Yeah, they were like, "Oh, look at him, he's blushing." And I was like, "Get out of my house! I don't even like you guys." But it was
just
wicked
me and
cool.
Thompson right now.
But it was wicked cool. But yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of his because, like I tell people all the time, most of my style is from watching his fights, watching his breakdowns, and now he has like an active YouTube page that I just stalk. All these striking tips, like actual striking tips. Like when I was watching him before, I wasn't watching somebody going, "So Stephen Thompson does this and this," or Stephen Thompson himself saying, "I do this and this."
Mm-hmm.
I was literally just watching his fights. That's all I did. I didn't have a breakdown. I didn't have like a technique video. It would literally be like Stephen Thompson knocks out so-and-so. And then I'd be like, "Oh, he's doing this, this, and this." I had to dissect it myself, figure out what he's doing and why he's doing it. And then I started doing it.
Are you a person that takes notes or you just keep... Yeah.
Yeah. So when I went on Tough, I had I think everybody on the show had a journal. If not, 90% of them did.
Nice.
But my journal wasn't just like, today I had this for breakfast and we did this and I'm fighting so-and-so. Before I went out, I nailed it, but I had an eye on 7 guys that were trying out at lightweight. And I was like,
okay,
these 7 guys are going to be on the show. 6 of them were on the show.
Mm-hmm.
The only one that I didn't get was Trezano. Go figure. But when I figured that these guys would be on the show, I went home and I was living with my buddy Mike Albert at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Bro, I don't know why, I don't know how, but these guys are going to be on the show." And he was like, "Why? Like, did they say anything? Da da da." And I was like, "Dude, there's like 20 of us, but I think these guys are going to be on the show." So for like a week and a half, 2 weeks, I had my Xbox in the living room. We went on YouTube on the Xbox and we were looking these guys up and watched all their fights.
Yeah.
And in my journal, I had a note. I had a split, like a tree chart, and it was me and then it was them. My strengths, his strengths. My weaknesses, his weaknesses. How I beat him, how he beats me. And I had that before I went on the show. And he was like, and Albert was like, "Well, so what do we do if none of these guys are on the show?" I was like, "Well, then we got to watch some fights." I was like, "But if..."
what?
Then we get to watch some fights.
Yeah.
If none of those guys are on the show.
Right.
But then I got there and like, obviously I didn't have my phone, so I couldn't be like, "Dude, they're actually here." But I'm like, I can't wait to tell them like how many guys are actually here. But I had my journal and it was like, this is how I beat this dude. This is how I beat this dude. And then when I tried out, like for the teams, like when we were actually there, I was wrestling with some of the guys, moving around with them, grappling. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't really like trying to win because I didn't care. But like I got a feel for who these guys were. And I was like, okay.
So at that time you could have trained with anybody? Like no
yeah.
one had
So we were in the hotel for 2 weeks before we were on a team.
Okay.
And it was like prison. So like after 2 days, the producers came up and they said, "All right, text who you got to text. You got 5 minutes. Shut your phone off. Give us the charger and everything." And like we had emergency contacts given out already and stuff. They're like, "You'll get these back when you're all done." Mm-hmm. Okay. Gave him my phone. That was 2 days in. Another 12 days go by with no phone. In our hotel rooms, they said, "You are not allowed to leave this room. If you do, we're sending you home."
Wow.
So we were like, is this part of the show? Like, is this like a new twist this season? Like 12 days just in this hotel room in Vegas. just can't leave the room. So we were getting like room service for food and stuff, which sucked because like I was only getting like I was getting eggs and bacon for breakfast, or like a bagel for breakfast, and like chicken Caesar salads for lunch and dinner. But like hotel food is so salty and has like all that other shit in it.
Yeah.
So like I'm like, fuck, my weight's gonna be higher than I wanted it to be.
Okay.
But they were like, I forget what they said the reason was, but they were like, the coaches aren't here yet, or like they're not picked yet. And they were like, so we're gonna have a bus scheduled to take you guys to the tough gym so you can train and keep active and all that stuff. And it was like, they made it sound like it was gonna be like a day or two. And then it was a day or two, and then a day or two. And then before I knew it, it'd been almost 2 weeks. And I was like, okay, like, is the show getting canceled? Like, what's up? And then they were like, all right, coaches are good. They're all here. Like, tomorrow you're going to get picked. So after 14 days in this hotel room, we go in, and they're like, all right, your coaches are Stipe and DC. And they walk in, and we're like, oh, shit. Because we were kind of tossing around to each other different ideas.
Yeah.
And then they were like, okay, lightweights are going to try it with lightweights. And featherweights are going to try it with featherweights. And DC had us wrestle, grapple, and then shadow boxing, doing like quick drills.
How did they pick guys, by the way? So
DC has like his own little tryout. So DC got to like try out the 55ers, then the 45ers, and then Stipe got to try out the 55ers and the 45ers. Now the only thing I did know was that John Gunther was Stipe's boy, because when I talked to him at tryouts, he said, "Yeah, I trained with Stipe." So in my head, I said, "That kid's on the show just for knowing Stipe."
Yeah.
So when I was at the tryouts for the teams, I was like, "I'm gonna sandbag this, because realistically, I'm a perfect fight for Gunther. Take me down, hold me, don't let me do anything," which Gunther does. That's how he wins fights. With a little bit more damage. So I go, I'm a perfect fight. So when I was trying out for Team DC, I wasn't trying, but I was putting a little effort into it.
Yeah.
And then when I was trying out for Team Stipe, absolutely bombed it. I was getting taken down by guys that shouldn't take me down. I was letting guys tap me, everything. And they start picking the teams. I think DC picked me third. And we walk over into the line, and we're like waiting for the fight announcements. And my boy Luis Pena, like we were close, like kind of like we had already shot the shit a little bit, but like not as close as we are now. But he sits next to me. He goes, "It's gonna be me versus Gunther for the first fight." I go, "Nah, bro, it's me versus Gunther." He's like, "What are you talking about?" And I go, "I'm a perfect fight for Gunther. Stipe's gonna put me against him to get his boy an easy win. I'm gonna choke him out." 2 seconds later, we're gonna pick Gunther versus Giannetti. And I was like, "Told you, bro." And him and this kid, Richie Smolin, on the other side of me, looking at me going, "What the hell?" And I walked out there just supremely confident, because I'd seen his fights. I'd seen his fights. I'd grappled with him for the Team Stipe tryouts, you know? So I was like, this is how his fight's going to go. So then DC was like, "How's this fight going?" I was like, I'm going to hit him. I'm going to hit him hard as soon as we come out. He's going to shoot, and I'm going to choke him out. And that's exactly just how it played out.
Exactly.
It played out like ridiculously, like to a T. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, talk about game planning.
I know. Is this how you study all your fighters, your opponents?
Oh, ridiculously! Like, I know what you're gonna throw before you throw it, because I'm in your head, not in the way of like I'm gonna like talk trash about you or like try and say weird mystic things. I'm gonna watch your fights and pick up things that you don't even know you do, like the way Have you ever talked to a sports bettor?
No.
A guy that bets on fights?
No.
So I'm friends with a lot of them on Twitter.
Oh, okay.
And some of them, I guess, offer their services to gyms. So like, say you're in the UFC, and what weight you fight at?
Professionally, or
what weight did you fight at?
145.
Okay, so say they're like, all right, you're fighting Max Holloway.
Nice.
This guy that makes a living betting on fights will hit up your coach and go, "If you pay me this amount of money, I will watch all of Max Holloway's fights and tell you every single one of his tells he has, all of his strengths and all of his weaknesses, because I have a different point of view than a fighter and a coach." And gyms do it. They pay these bettors to give them tips. So like they might watch the fight and go, every time Max wants to line up that right hand, he double jabs, or he double jabs and fakes a triple jab, but it's actually the right hand, or he dips to the left before he throws the second jab. And it's true. It's just these guys, they do have a different mindset. They have a different mindset than a fighter and a coach, because they're trying to win money.
Right.
So it's a little bit of a different incentive. But it's similar to when I'm watching my opponents, where it's like, I'm watching it as somebody that doesn't care what you think you're good at, what you think you're going to do to me. I'm watching it as somebody that wants to know everything that you do. Not everything that you want to do, everything that you physically do. So the biggest example, when I fought Conor Barry.
Yeah.
What he does every fight is he looks supremely confident. He smiles at you every single time. And then as soon as the fight starts, he does one of two things. He sits there for a second and he lets you come forward,
Mm-hmm.
or he immediately comes forward. But either way, it ends up with a blitz. He puts his chin up in the air and he throws a 3-2-3, 2 or 3 times in a row. So, or a 2-3-2 a couple times, sorry.
Okay.
So when I went out to AKA for that fight camp, we were talking about the fight, and I pulled up his fight with, I think it was with Peter Barrett, and he did that to him. I don't think it really landed much, but he landed something out of that exchange.
Is that who he fought in?
Cage Titans.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Before me, or 2 fights before me. So we were watching it out at AKA, and I was like, listen, I go, if he hits this blitz on me, I'm going to slip, get behind him, grab his hip, and pull it across. And I have a clip of it on my Instagram. It's literally what happens. I come forward and take the center. I hit him with a leg kick, and he didn't come forward. He sat in his corner like I thought he would.
Mm-hmm.
And then after I hit him with the leg kick, he starts coming forward, and he blitzes and goes 2-3-2, 2-3-2.
Wow.
And I went slip, roll, and I was to the side. I stepped behind him. I grabbed his far hip, and I pulled it, and I got a body lock and took him down. And it was like, I texted everybody at AKA, and I was like, this is exactly what we worked to a T. And now it's on a highlight in my story because it's just, I just love, what is it, the A-team? What's he say? I love when a plan comes together.
Yeah.
The guy's always smoking the cigar.
Okay. I didn't know it was him that said it. But
Yeah, I love it when a plan
cool.
comes together. But I do. I really appreciate it because at least I know I'm not wasting my time. So yeah, that fight is like, that and the Gunther fight are my 2 biggest examples of just knowing what my opponent's going to do before they do.
Right.
And it was similar with the Brandt fight, my last one. But he thought too much into stuff and kind of mixed up his own game plan, which ended up in a lackluster fight. But there was a lot of stuff that he did, like he went for Von Flue chokes. I knew he was going to go for. He went for side chokes. That stuff doesn't work on me. Like, you better put me to sleep.
What did you say doesn't?
Von Flue chokes and side chokes. They don't really, I don't know why. I couldn't tell you. One probably being I'm just a stubborn brick. And they just don't, like, they'll choke me like I'm about to pass out, but 9 out of 10 times your arms are going to burn before I pass out. Wow. So like the Dewan Owens fight, 3rd round, I'm just giving up submissions at this point because same fight. He's not doing much. He's kind of laying on me. And I was like, let's just give him an arm triangle. Maybe he'll jump across. And then when he gives it up, I'll get up. So I give him an arm triangle and he gets it. And I was like, all right, this is kind of tight. Then it gets a little tighter and I was like, yep, this sucks. This is what happens. And then it gets to that point where like the hallway's closing. Like everything's starting to get dark and the light's getting smaller. And I go, oh, he's got a good grip. He's got a really good grip. I go, I might have fucked up. And so the tunnel's closing and I'm watching it. And I think Steve Frieda was the ref. Somebody was. And they're standing over me and they didn't say anything, but they're just looking at my eyes. Yeah. And I look at him and I go, this dude's going to choke me out. I'm not tapping. But I looked at the ref and I gave him a thumbs up. And he goes, he goes, you're good? I couldn't talk, so I just stuck up my thumb.
Of course.
So the ref kind of backed off because he was like, oh, he's not going to pass out. And then Dewan saw it. I saw him like kind of side-eye my arm, and he goes, like, I could see him like, oh, like I'm not going to get it. He let go of that side choke, and I took in the biggest like gasp of air. I was like, thank God.
That felt so good.
But like, just because I was ready to go to sleep. I was like,
of course.
But another situation, it just didn't work. It's just, it always plays out that way. And it's going to play out that way until somebody puts me to sleep with it. But I'm ready for that to happen. I'm not tapping. There's not many things in a fight I'll tap to. I
know. With that last fight, man. Wow. Wasn't there that submit? Didn't he attempt a submission?
He tried a Von Flue choke, and then I gave him same thing. I gave him an arm triangle. I think it was the 3rd round. I gave him an arm triangle too. So I was fighting for underhooks and stuff, and then he was trying to pass it over and go for the arm triangle. So I like let him get it. So I was like, if I just put my arm across it, but I do it in a way where I make you think you're getting it. I don't just go, oh, look, an arm triangle, and like put my arm across. I'll like fight it at like 10%, and then I'll slowly like move my arm across and like, oh no, like you're getting me. Like, what am I going to do? Wow. And then he locks it up and I'm sitting there and I was like, yeah, it's tight. This sucks. And then I can feel like my oxygen level drop a little bit. And I'm like, all right, yeah, it still sucks. There was a split second where it was like, okay, this really sucks. Start defending. So like my go-to defense is like, my arm that's across, I'll grab my far leg, and then from there I'll do a leg press. So it extends my body. Yes. So that's the Bill Mahoney special. I didn't realize that was such a rare thing. I got a lot of compliments on it. So if you see me doing that, that means it's starting to get kind of like, oh, just in case. It's getting close. So I did that, and I broke free from it. And then I was like, okay. And then he kept squeezing it. So then I started laughing at him. That's my next thing. I do it to my training partners because it's not going to work. So I think it's funny. So I started laughing.
I love it.
And he like picked his head up and looked at me, and I was just laughing. And he let go. And I was like, good. Now he's going to start hitting me. And then he just laid there. And I was like, and I was like, all right, last resort. I broke my golden rule that I told myself I would never do in my entire career. It's the it's the Vitor Belfort rule. It is striking from under mount. There's so many fights for Vitor Belfort that I've watched him on his back in mount trying to punch guys. But I tried everything else. I tried getting up. I tried giving him half submissions. I tried giving him positions. He didn't want to do anything. So I give him mount. He takes mount, and I'm hitting the side of his head, and he's still laying on me. And I'm just like, and then the 10 seconds goes off, and I'm like, come on, hit me, dude, hit me. And he postures up, and he winds up a big shot, and I'm looking at his fist like, here we go. And I start striking from my back, and I start hitting him. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm out striking him from under mount. So I just keep swinging. And then he throws like 2 punches, and I block him. And then I keep swinging, and I hit him again. And I go, I'm out striking this kid from under mount. I'm
crazy.
like, what do I do?
I know. Did you already know that you were losing because of the grappling? So you let him take mount? Yeah.
So at that point, I just kind of tried everything, and none of it had worked. I tried getting up, and it didn't work. I tried tapping him out, didn't work. I really didn't have a position where I could. I tried giving him submissions. I tried giving him positions, which he got. Like, he went for submissions and then couldn't get them. I knew he wouldn't be able to. But then I thought maybe he'll open up a bit. He didn't. I gave him positions, and I was like, all right, it's a perfect opportunity to hit me in the face, and he didn't. So it was like, only like, if you have mount, like, you got to hit me, right?
Why didn't he hit you?
He just
talk about it.
He flat out told me, he was like, you honestly, like, he said, he's a very respectful kid. He flat out said, he goes, listen, I didn't overlook you anywhere. He goes, I just thought I would be better than you everywhere, and I wasn't. And he was like, he was like, you made it a nightmare on the feet. So I was like, I have a really good body lock. I'm going to clinch this kid and take him down. And then he goes, we clinched up, and you started beating me up from the clinch. So I was like, okay, time to use my body lock and take him down. Then I couldn't get you down as easily as I take everybody else down. He goes, at one point I had 1 foot in the air, and I still wasn't getting you down. And I was like, yeah, I worked that a lot.
I saw.
And he goes, so then we got into a scramble, and I finally got you down. And I wasn't overlooking your jiu-jitsu, but I thought that as soon as we hit the mat, I would kind of have that feeling of, okay, I got him. But I didn't. He said, you stopped everything that I wanted to do. Granted, you weren't able to finish me, but I couldn't do anything I wanted to do. So really quickly I decided I'm going to have to lay on him and hope they give it to me on the cards.
What?
Yeah, flat out said it. Flat out admitted it. Like, we sat there all night. Like I said, I'm not dogging the kid. So after the fight, as soon as it ended and he gets up, he starts apologizing to me, which he's not the first one to do it. A bunch of people do it. And he's like, I'm sorry, man. Like, it's a terrible fight. Like, nobody wants to see this. I go, listen, we're here to get W's and get paychecks. You did what you had to do. I'm a fighter. I get it, bro. Like, I don't get my full check now because I lost. You get the full check. I'd have done the same thing if I could have. That's just not how I fight. So I'm not going to knock you for it. I'm not going to knock any, like, that's what my buddies are for. My buddies talk shit about all the guys I've lost to. Oh, he just laid on you. He just laid on you. I'm like, yeah, he did, but he got his paycheck. Like Mike Trezano for the biggest example. Like, yeah, I fought like shit. Yeah, he really didn't do much, but guess what? He went home with an extra $15,000. So,
oh wow,
if that was my style of fighting, like big, strong, boring, lay on people for 15 grand, I'll lay on you. I don't give a shit. Pays my bills. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So I'm never going to dog on a fighter for that. But I'll dog on a fighter if they try to talk about it and be like, I'm a bad dude.
Oh, okay.
I'm a bad dude. Like, I'll put you away. You know, like Kamaru Usman. I'm not a fan of his for that reason. I don't like people like, oh, Marty Snoozman, yada, yada, yada. Whatever.
You too, huh?
He's getting his paychecks, dude. Whatever. I don't give a shit about what the guy drinking a beer at home saying. If I'm getting extra, think about what Marty's getting. He's getting hundreds of thousands for winning these fights.
Yeah.
I'll lay on a guy too. But it's when you do an interview and you're like, I'm a bad man. I'm a nightmare for these guys. I put dudes away. And it's like, you haven't finished the fight in 6 years. Simmer down. Like, and you can't even be to the point where like, well, if it was a street fight, I'd kill you. And it's like, would you? Because you can't even kill guys in the cage. Not that you can't, you don't. So it's a weird thing, you know? Like, I made a post today and I even said it. I was like, I truly believe against everybody that I've fought, if this was hundreds of years ago and I was in the wild and I shot an animal and that was for my tribe to eat. And as I'm going to pick this dead animal up, this dude comes walking out of the woods to take my food. If we fought to the death so our tribes could eat, my tribe's never going to starve. 100%. I 100% believe that we're always going to be eating. But that's not what it is. It's a sport. And we're not fighting to eat. We're fighting. Well, we kind of are. We're fighting for paychecks. But we're not fighting to the death either.
Right.
You know? So,
like in between.
So, and I said it in the locker room. It was something right after the fight when we talked that 20 minutes. It sucks and it shouldn't be on me, but it's not only just on me to win these fights and finish these guys. It's now on me to make this a fight. whenever I get in there, it's on me to make it a fight. And it shouldn't be. It should take two to tango.
Right.
But it's not. It's not the way the sport works. Like when that last fight ended, I was like, damn, he probably got it 29-28 on the cards. And they said unanimous decision, 30-27. I was like, what? I didn't get a single round?
Oh, wow.
I was like, you guys didn't give me anything?
Was there a round you think you had?
The first or the second. I mean, they're both very debatable. I mean, the third, I kind of went down for a takedown and we scrambled and he ended up getting on top. And it sucks because it's like, I don't know if these judges know the new rules. The new rules are if you get a takedown and don't do anything with it, you don't get points.
Oh, interesting.
It's been that way for a while.
I didn't know that either.
And a lot of judges, I don't think they know.
Wow.
Like, so my fight, my first fight after I got cut from the UFC against Josh Harvey, we went to a draw.
Yeah.
Same fight.
Yeah.
I outstruck him. I beat him up. I went for submissions, and he laid on me. Maybe
I remember that.
Maybe just as bad as Brant. Pretty bad. And same thing. It was rigged because he's a local hometown boy. Turns out all the judges were from Maine, where Harvey's from, not Plymouth, where we were fighting. Okay. I didn't even know who the judges were, so it's not biased. But anyways, my point being is it's like, how are you going to argue, I won that fight? It's like, okay, how'd you win? Well, I took him down. Okay, what'd you do? Well, I laid on him. Okay, how many times did you hit him? Well, I didn't. So how'd you win? Because you don't get points for takedowns.
Right.
I mean, that's it. That's as simple as it gets. But that's another one of those fights. I was talking to Harvey that whole fight too. So after the first round, he's laying on top of me and the round ends. He gets up. He helps me up. He's like, hey. I'm like, oh, thanks. Appreciate it. Helps me up. Second round comes out. He takes me down again. I'm getting frustrated. So I start slapping him. I'm slapping him. I get overhooks. I start backhanding him. Like, not even hard. I didn't have enough space. I'm literally like flicking him in the teeth. And he goes, what's that supposed to do, buddy? And I go, I don't know, piss you off? And then he picks me up and he slams me because I had over-unders from guard. And then I was just being a dick. And I was like, you're going to have to slam me harder than that. I go, do it again. Slam me again. He picks me up and slams me.
He did it again.
He did it again. So,
wow.
So on the way down, but it was my own fault. On the way down the second time, my head slid down the cage and split the back of my head open. So I started bleeding a little bit.
Dude.
I was like, whatever. But so he slams me down and then he lays there and I'm hitting him from bottom. The round ends. And he goes to help me up and I'm like, thanks. And I grab his hand and I'm about like halfway up, like I'm not balanced yet. Mm-hmm. And he lets go. And I fall back on the cage. And I walked by him and I said, all right, you're going to pay for that next round. And he looks at me and I was like, I'll see you next round. And I sat down on the stool and we came out and same thing. I was trying to strike. He took me down. He laid on top of me. And then halfway through the third round, we end up in north-south. I got out of guard. Mm-hmm. I crawled up the cage. I get hooks. I take his back. And I hit him with, I was like 60-something unanswered strikes. No idea how the fight didn't get stopped. To this day, like there's so many fights that like people complain about. And like people that don't like me complain about that decision. Yeah. And they complain about my win over Conor Barry. And it's like, I don't care if you like me or not. You can't watch that Harvey fight and say I didn't TKO him. 60+ unanswered strikes. And I knocked him out and woke him up.
I'm gonna watch this.
If you watch the end, I'm hitting him from the side of the head, and then I slip one under his arm. So he's like this, and I'm hitting him off the side, and I slip one under his arm, and he goes down, and he stops moving, and I hit him 4 times, and then he gets back up to his hands. So when I'm on his back hitting him, I start yelling at him, "You don't want this. This is my life. You don't want this like I do." And the fight ends, and he's like, "Sorry, man. I know that wasn't a fun fight, and I know that's not what your fans want to see." Boy. And I was like, it is what it is, man. Like, same thing I said to Brent. You're here to get W's. I get it. But then, he hits me with the same thing. He goes, well, I know your fans are going to talk shit about me. And I go, that's your problem. You fought like that. Like, you don't like what the fans say. You don't fight like that. And then they read the draw. And, of course, he's salty. And he grabs the mic and he's like, it was so funny because it was so wrong. He was like, he's talking like Conor McGregor and I'm fighting like Khabib. Meanwhile, I just flew in from training the whole fight camp with Khabib, and I'm like, I didn't talk any shit about you. I don't like you because you talk shit about me. And, like, Khabib beat the hell out of me during training. You laid on me.
Yeah.
Like,
I see the difference between people who actually engage in the grappling and turn it into, like, they mix it very well with MMA, with strikes and transitions and everything. And I understand that W. I'm not there yet at that level where I understand I just need to get W's, but it's frustrating as a fan, just as a fan.
For sure.
To see
and
that.
So honestly, like the two things in my last fight, as soon as they raised his hand.
I was mad.
Yeah, I was mad too. Like I told you.
Just to see that, I'm like, I know Joe wants to fight.
Yeah, it was tough. But like I said, when they raised his hand, two things went through my mind. Fuck, we need a good streak before we get back in the UFC. We got to fix this problem because I'm not just getting back in the UFC. I'm trying to kick ass in the UFC. And if that's my kryptonite, I need to get rid of it.
Yeah. Which is my next question about like what you want your future to look like, because I think you told me, but if you let everybody know, that'd be cool.
Basically, my future is going to be stop guys from laying and praying on top of me and beating the absolute piss out of them. And like my style is very technical and very precise, and we're gonna take the violence knob and we're just gonna crank it to the max and then keep cranking it and snap it off and just be violent and just like to the level of Tony Ferguson, but keep my sanity a little more. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, like I'm not really El Kukui, but I want to be almost just as violent.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's super technical, but super violent. Like if I got to bleed a little bit, I got to bleed a little bit. And that's something that I haven't had mentally since I was an amateur. Like when I was an amateur, I was like, yeah, let's stand and bang. Let's do it. Like I fought Jose Rivera twice and I stood with him both fights and got my ass kicked standing both times.
Wow.
I beat him by decision once and tapped him out once. But like I was content on the feet, like as I'm getting my ass kicked.
Yeah.
Like I was like, whatever, let's keep going. Let's do it.
I know the feeling.
But yeah, that Brant Moore fight, when it ended, like the first thing was like, we got work to do before we get back in the UFC. Second thing was, shit, man, I'm losing a lot of fans after that one. Like that was tough. I gained more fans. I got more support after that loss than I have my last 3 wins. And I tweeted that. I was like, everybody who's been here, everybody who just joined for the ride, like I'm blown away at how I've gotten more support after a loss than I have after my past few wins. It's still right now, it's kind of surreal to me.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's just because they saw how bad I was trying to fight. And like not just like obviously I was trying to win, but they saw how bad I was trying to win and put on a show for the fans.
You didn't watch it, but you can actually hear it. It's very audible. You can hear you're yelling.
So it was funny. I was
laughing.
I think it was a team's like wife and girlfriends or whatever. So the way that like Pentagon thing was set up, there was like an upstairs section and like there was a couple people upstairs watching the fight.
Yeah.
And they didn't know me or Brant, so they were neutral when the fight started. Like, let's go, kick his ass, normal MMA fan stuff.
Yep.
And then probably like 2 or 3 minutes in, I'm on my back, Brant's laying there, and it's like a bunch of girls and like a couple guys. Boo! And I'm like, oh, here we go. It's a fucking finale all over again. This kid's just doing nothing. I'm going to get booed out of the place. And then I start beating him up with elbows. I'm hitting him. And then we're in the 3rd round, and I'm yelling, fight me, hit me, come on, let's go, fight. And the people upstairs, yeah, fight him. Ref, stand him up, fight him. And I'm just like, oh, okay. And then after the fight, I walk out of the cage, and like the little path I take to the locker room, I go right under them.
Yeah.
And I look up, and they're going wild. Like, you'd swear they've been fans since I was an amateur, losing their mind for me.
Yeah.
And I look up, and I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, I know you guys didn't want to see a main event like that. Like, I'm really sorry. They're like, nah, fuck that. Great job. Like, dude, losing it. Maybe they were trash. I don't know. But yeah, they were losing their minds. They were so jacked up. And it was like, I kind of chuckled. Like, I was upset, but I chuckled, and I went in the back room. And even Bill said, he's like, do you know any of the people out there? And I was like, I didn't even see their faces. I have no idea who they are. He goes, he was like, they all loved you. I was like, well, that's good to hear. But then, like I said, I opened up my Twitter and my social media, my texts, and there's so much love and support. And it was really cool. I didn't see that coming. But it was just like a bunch of people said, they were like, the first thing that I got from a lot of people was, you know, I'm very active on social media. Yeah. I have sponsors I promote myself a lot.
I see that.
Some people say to a flaw, whatever. Closed mouths don't get fed.
Not a flaw.
Yeah, that's what I live up to. Closed mouths don't get fed. But a lot of people said, you know, granted, I know how much you've posted, but you always post a lot. Tonight, we actually saw all the improvement from what you did during quarantine.
That's awesome.
Like, I didn't look bad against Roberto Young, but just physically and mentally and everything, they were like, we can see the improvement from point A to point B. Mm-hmm. 2, they could see that I was doing everything in my power to make that a fan favorite fight, a real fight, and to win.
Yeah.
So stuff like that, it really just resonates with the fans because it's like, obviously you're trying to win. You're not there for a paycheck. And I'm trying to win and make the people at home be jumping off their seats going, whoa, let's go. Because I'm a fan first. Like, I was a fan before I was a fighter.
Exactly.
So it's like, I get what you want to see. So it was really cool. So that, like, I think that helped me deal with the loss where it was like, nobody was really shitting on me. They were like,
Yeah.
man, like, we'll fix it. We'll make, like, you'll get back in there, like, you'll bust your ass, and eventually you'll fix it. Just like how I wasn't strong enough, I got a lot stronger. Still, like, I'm almost there, but not enough. Not
Yeah.
as strong as I can get. So I got to get stronger. Now when I do private lessons and I teach guys striking, the one thing I don't really teach, or I'm very loose on teaching, is your stance. Guys will be like, so what should I do for my stance? And I'll be like, okay, this is the basic template. Your foot should be here, your foot should be here, hands up, shoulders up, chin down, whatever. They're just kind of a basic template. If we start doing these drills, head movement, footwork drills, and you feel more comfortable with your foot an inch this way, 2 inches that way, do it. If it works and you're safe and you're not going to eat a body shot or a head kick or something, do it. Like,
I like that.
I learned a stance my entire life growing up. Like, before you even train, like, like you have that uncle at the barbecue that's like, you gotta have your hands up like this. And now, like, after you train fighting and you see a guy do this, you're like, oh my God, I can't fight you. I'll kill you. Like, you don't know what you're doing. Then I started training, and like, guys are showing you different stances, and just none of them felt right. Nothing ever clicked. And then, I found kind of like the bouncy karate Stephen Thompson style, and I was like, I kind of like that. Like, let's see if I can do it. And then I was smashing the bag. I was smashing pads. I remember when I first started doing that style at South Shore, I was beating the shit out of people. Like, not like hurting them, but just like head kicking the shit out of people. And they were just like not seeing it coming. They were like, how the fuck did you just kick me? And I'm like, oh, I did this, this, and this. Like, where'd you learn that? And I'll never forget, a couple of my buddies can attest to it. I have it on my phone somewhere still. It's the Stephen Thompson highlight video. And I just watched it. Like, the video has like hundreds of thousands of views. I'm easily a couple thousand views. Like, I've watched it so many times. Like, I'm not joking. Like, before, like,
okay.
So like striking, like, we'll say striking's on a Tuesday. Everybody will go and spar at like 5:30. At 5:20, I'm at the gym. I'm not going to spar. I'm just going to hit the bag. I'll be sitting there watching this video, and then I'll rewind it. And after like 20 minutes of watching the same 4-minute video, I put my phone down and I'll go do it on the bag for like 2 hours.
Wow.
And that's what I did.
2 hours.
Oh,
wow.
yeah. Like, all night. Like, I would do it like shadow boxing, and then I'd do it on the bag, and then I'd get some pad work in, and I'd be like, this is what I want to work, is this, this, and this. But all based on that, like, Stephen Thompson style. Obviously, the athleticism, mobility, and stuff like that, I didn't have out the gate. I still don't have it to his level. Don't get me wrong. Working towards it. But, like, I've also blended that in with what my style already was. Like, he's very sideways. Sometimes I put my lead foot forward, kind of more like a boxer or a kickboxer. His feet are literally sideways when he strikes. So, like, when I strike, I'm sideways, but sometimes I'll turn my torso in my front foot forward. That's just my old style blending with his style. But that's what you need to do as far as striking. You need to make your own style, I believe.
My style is it comes a lot from Dominic Cruz.
Yep, you were telling me that before.
I feel comfortable.
Exactly. And I'm sure that there's things that you do that he doesn't do. And that's
right.
that's not a knock on like you're doing it wrong. It's just it works better for you because you're not exactly the same as him.
Yeah.
He is your template and you're just making something out of it. But that's what striking is. You take something that kind of works for you and you make it really work for you.
That's why I love MMA.
Yes, exactly. Yes. And that's why I like
unique.
Like when I tell people when I'm doing striking, like, this is where I want you to work from, but if this, and this is comfy and I don't see any errors when you're throwing strikes, do that. And like, it's so funny because even like a couple sessions in, oh, is this right? I'm like, well, are you balanced? They're like, oh, I don't know. And I'll walk by and I'll push them like from the front. They don't move. I'll go to the side of them and I'll push them. And I'm like, well, you're not going to fall over that way or front or back. You're balanced. Let me see you throw some strikes. They throw their strikes. They look balanced. They're protected while they're throwing. Why not? Because even when I was learning my stance, some people were like, that doesn't really make sense. And I go, well, it works for him. And they were like, well, he's been doing karate since he was 10. I go, so? It doesn't matter how long people have been doing shit. You can get just as good. GSP never wrestled. Think about that.
Yeah, that's what...
Like, GSP never wrestled.
Yep, that's what gets me.
Yeah, like the first time I learned that, I was like, what?
You almost think, yeah. I don't mean to cut you off. You're good. But we do have a minute. Okay. Is there anything that you want to conclude with?
I can't wait to fight again. If everything goes according to plan, I'll be fighting in October. Anybody wants to sponsor me, I appreciate it. Let me know. If not, I'll make it an exciting fight. Thank you, everybody at South Shore Sport Fighting. Thank you, everybody tuning in. Thank you to all my sponsors, Cruise Combat Shorts, Receptor CBD. Sorry I talked so long. We didn't get a really good outro for this. I talk a lot.
Nope. That was actually perfect. All right. Thank you so much, Joe.
No problem. Thank you.
Of course. Anytime. All right, guys. That concludes the episode of Talk or Tap with Joe Giannetti. We'll see you next time.